5 reasons why you may not need a CPA yet. I know this may sound strange coming from me, myself, a CPA, but the reality is that not everyone needs the service that a CPA can provide. It really depends on your situation. But the CPA service that we provide is bound not by the letters of our CPA, but really by the value that we can provide. Okay? So today we want to talk about really 5 reasons why you may be in a situation where the level of service that a CPA provide may not be that you're at that point of your life or in your business where you might require the services of a CPA. Right, Carla?
That's right. And this is something that we go through almost every day in our practice because we get a lot of phone calls from clients just asking questions. And we as professionals, we have to really understand what type of services they need. Do they really need a CPA now or not yet? So that's the type of information that we provide to them during our discovery meetings.
Absolutely, because and it's not to undervalue the services of other providers, but really when you think of a CPA, it's more of a higher type of service, right? Where it's not just filing forms, right? It may be a situation where, talking about vehicles where you kind of looking for a Ferrari where maybe you need something smaller, right? So, or not as valuable. But the point is that what we wanted to today, exactly what you said, we have a lot of clients calling, kind of just trying to get an idea of where they're at. We do, at UpFront CPA, we do free discovery calls, right? Yes. So we're very upfront and very honest. And there are times when our services is not what the client really is looking for, right?
Exactly.
So let's start with reason number 1.
Yes. So number 1, let's say that you are an individual that gets paid via a W-2. Maybe you have a savings account, but your taxes are very simple because it's just a few forms that are filed in Form 1040. Like I said, W-2 income, maybe some 1098s if you own a house, and there's different forms. But those type of individuals, their tax returns are simpler, right? And they don't require that much analysis behind it because the information comes straight from the forms that you receive from your employer or from the banks and that type of information. So if you are at that position at this time, maybe you don't need a CPA yet. A tax preparer is definitely qualified to file a form like that, like I just explained. But for example, at the time that you start making changes, that you start making other decisions, for example, when you decide to make an investment on a home and you decide to buy a home that you are thinking about renting in the future, either short-term rental, long-term rentals, that's when you really need to start thinking, okay, so I am moving forward, I am moving up, now I have something a little bit more complicated, something that needs more work, more analysis when it comes time to prepare my tax returns, or not even that, even just analyzing, this is something that I'm thinking about doing. Is it really beneficial for me to do? If you are asking yourselves those questions, definitely contact a CPA for that, because that's an analysis that needs to be done before you make that decision.
Right, yeah, and the key here is that exactly what you said is you kind of go from, I'm just doing compliance, I'm just keying the numbers that are given, to now I'm making financial decisions, right? Because the problem is if, tax preparation or the tax services, at some point it's just simple compliance, which is what we're describing right now. But as you grow, as your business grows, as maybe you're earning more W-2 income, right? There are options that you can take that can benefit you tax-wise. Now we're talking about money in your pocket, right? Or money that you can be overpaying. So once you kind of pass that threshold, now you have to make bigger decisions, right? And a simple tax preparer can really benefit you when it's just that simple, just keying the numbers that are provided. Although we do recommend that you hire a competent one because there's even issues with tax preparation services that may not even get that part of the service right in terms of, because there are some components, right, that it has to be filed correctly.
Right.
Sometimes you get kickbacks. Some firms don't do the follow-up when there are errors.
Right.
So definitely hire a good qualified tax preparation firm. But when you're thinking of a high value CPA, definitely should be in your mind that this is when your finances are in front of your decisions, right? So reason number 2, you only think about taxes in April, and this is big for us, right? And right now, in the time we're making this video, we're kind of getting around the corner of the tax extensions, right? And so, historically, in our profession, March and April is a tax filing year, right? So it's a part of the year where everyone's now running to do their taxes done, right? So, but the reality is that when you take that approach, when it's simple, that might work, right? But as your tax situations start getting more complex, taking a proactive approach versus a reactive, just showing up in March, April, it can go from thousands to hundreds of thousands of dollars. We've seen it, right? From examples, from potential clients, from actual clients that have come to us because they've kind of tried that DIY approach of doing it yourself, and how many problems they can get into in terms of compliance from one side with the IRS for not filing things correctly, and then financially because they didn't think of something that they could have thought of that actually benefit them, and they took some approach that actually cost them a lot of money. Right? Yeah. So what we do here is we meet with our prospects, right? We take as I mentioned, a consultation, right? A free discovery call where we kind of go over all these things, what your tax situation is, based on where you are. Then we will recommend some type of proactive engagement, right? Where it'll be maybe meeting once a quarter, maybe twice a year. Everyone's different, but what we do here is we like to tailor that service to our clients so they can see the value, right? We really believe here in long-term relationships, right? So we don't think of ourselves as a transactional, once a year type of thing, because, and it's not because we don't like it, right? It's because there is really very little value there.
Exactly.
Right? So so that doesn't mean that if you haven't met with us and maybe you're coming to us for the first time in March and April, that we're gonna show you the door, right? It doesn't mean that. But we will recommend that we set up some kind of ongoing service engagement so we can help them. Maybe not this year because it passed, or the prior year where we're filing taxes, but for the following year.
Exactly. So right now, let's say you are completely done with filing your taxes for 2025. That's over. That's over with, right? But now you should be already thinking about the current year, about 2026. And this is the time where you do want to meet with your accountant on your CPA to start planning for the year, especially nowadays where things are changing constantly with the economy and everything else that it's going on. Right now is the perfect time to start having these meetings, to go over and do some projections through the end of the year. And this is when you start making those decisions. So you start preparing now for when you start filing in 2027 for 2026.
Absolutely. I mean, we see it for us, it's just such a simple decision, right? Because we see it every day. So the clients that have the best outcomes to us are the ones that we meet regularly with, right? And it's not just because we meet just to meet. We meet because we see how when we actually put everything on the table and we figure out where things are coming from, but also where we're headed, it gives also the client themselves a good picture, kind of a reality check, and it actually brings them kind of where they didn't think of certain things before. that's when they kind of, they realize, right, like certain things that they didn't, had they not met with us. Right. It happens every time.
Right.
And every time, like even when we might meet with a client where they might be, oh, should we even meet? Like, hey, come on over, let's meet. And how many of them really regret it? Almost none of them, right?
No. And it gives them also like a peace of mind, right? They feel prepared by the time, when the time comes to actually file their tax returns, they feel at ease because they feel they're prepared. They feel like they did something during the year to help them get to the point where they're going to be in 6 months from today.
Absolutely. It's just kind of turns that whole March and April historically, where it's anxiety, where it's someone tells you that the level of stress is you can't even sleep, thinking what they might get caught for something, or that the IRS is gonna get after them, and maybe they did it right. Do they really trust the preparer? It really is the difference is night and day. On how that bad situation becomes like you said, Carla, just a peace of mind where they can't even really kind of they almost feels like sometimes it's too good to be true. They come to us like, I feel too comfortable in March and April. But believe me,
but that's how it should be.
It can happen. Yeah, and that's how it should be in reality.
It should be. Yeah, so reason number 3. If you're looking for somebody just to file forms, to input data and file, then you hire a preparer. But if you're looking for a partner or somebody to help you make decisions, that's when you need to hire a CPA. And this is very, very important because you need to feel comfortable with the person that you're working with, that they are going to help you make the correct decisions based on the information that we all have at that time. So definitely it's when we prepare the taxes for our clients, we're not only entering numbers, we're actually analyzing the information as we work on them. And even we are working on some returns that we're even thinking about next year. For example, if something changes next year, how decisions that I make today in this tax return, is it going to have an impact in next year's tax return? So that's another reason why you should always have a relationship, right, with your accountant or your CPA, because the history is very important.
Absolutely. Yeah, and there is almost, I would say, like there's almost 2 industries, right?
Right.
When you think of a CPA, and we always try to kind of educate our clients and really try to get that communication right, because although CPA is a profession, not everyone is a CPA, right? And the reason why I say this is because there's almost 2 industries here that we're talking about. One is the tax preparation, right, which is legitimate. It's a good profession. It's we're not putting anything down on them. They're important too, but we're talking about here now. Once you pass that threshold, where it's almost an entirely different industry when we're talking about now making the move where now it becomes more of a financial situation where you might need a CPA. It's almost a different industry, right? And as you also grow, there's also other components that might enter into it. For example, once you get to a certain level of income, you might already have, or you might be in the need of a financial advisor, right? Someone that is actually going to make some investments for you, that can grow some portfolio, can give you some ideas into some things that can grow your net worth, right? For us, what we like to do, we're not financial advisors ourselves. What we'll do is we'll look at the tax component of all those decisions, right? We'll even talk to your financial advisor ourselves if we have to, or if we need to, as we usually do with our clients, right? Yeah. And sometimes once you kind of enter into the whole tax component, you might think, okay, maybe not that it's not worth it, because it's always good to invest, but maybe there are other strategies that you can use, maybe other alternatives that are not create a tax burden that is actually, once you kind of enter that into the situation, it might not be as a good investment, right? So that's where we come in and we kind of help each other. It's all kind of part of an ecosystem where we all work with each other. And once that is running smoothly is beautiful, right? How, you know, as you said, you know, it's peace of mind. The client knows where they're investing. They have an idea of, you know, how I can make certain moves, certain strategies I can utilize. I'm part of it, which is important, right? It's not just, it's just my money guy, and you know, he calls me and, you know, and he tells me if I'm doing good or if I'm doing bad or something happens, right? So it's involvement in the decision making, and that's important, right? Especially if you're a business owner,
exactly,
right? Because when you own your own business, you really have the good input into where the business is going, what your strategy is, what your exit strategy, where you're trying to get to.
Right.
And if you don't provide that as part of the whole strategy session, then you know, there might be some kind of break there, right?
Right. Right. And it's not only financial advisors; it's also attorneys, depending on the situation for the person or for the client. It could be working together with your attorney if you're thinking about maybe selling your business, or a business broker. You know, as a team, we collectively work together to help you make decisions. But right, it's certainly very important to have a team behind you when you're getting ready to make those type of decisions.
Absolutely, absolutely. So that leads us into number 4, which is you don't need planning yet, right? So obviously, all of this that we're talking about is if you're in that situation where you need to make those decisions, right? Not everyone is in that, and we're like, yet. Right? We're positive because, you know, most people kind of have some ambition there and some things they would want to get to. So, and that's where we can be valuable and helpful, right? So, you know, planning is important, but you need to be in that part of your business or in your life where those decisions will have consequences, right? So, you know, what are those decisions? Are you in the business? Are you buying equipment? Are you investing?
Right.
Even if you don't have a business, have your W-2 income increased? Have you seen more withholding being taken? Now your taxes are going up.
Right.
You know, now you're getting questions from, you know, from the person filling out your payroll forms about taxes that you're not aware, right? So that's when planning needs to take place, right? It's no longer about, okay, I'm here, you know, fill out the form, you call your preparer, do my forms, do what we do every year. Because unfortunately, to continue going down that path, if your situation has changed, it's only going to cost you money.
Right.
That's guaranteed. Because obviously, you know, as in the tax preparation business, they're still doing the tax prep.
Right.
But they may not be, you know, in a situation where they can tell you themselves, hey, you know, this has kind of already surpassed my abilities.
Right.
Go look for a CPA. It's really up to you to kind of know where you're at so that you're able to determine a good path for you.
Yeah.
So that leads us into reason number 5.
So, and this is, I always say a very funny one because we do get clients that go through this. So they think I'm still small. So if there's a mistake, that mistake is still gonna be really small. It's gonna be cheap, I'm gonna say. And that's not true at all. There is not such a thing as a small mistake, as a small amount, as a cheap amount. No, mistakes, things, if you don't plan correctly, even if you're not seeing the cost of that mistake now, you are going to see it later. It's a guarantee. So don't ever think that I'm still too small and if mistakes are done, it's not going to cost me anything, because that is not true. Not true at all. Especially the planning phase. If you're planning on opening a business, for example, and you decide not to hire a CPA for a consultation, and you decide to open the business yourself, go to Sunbiz, go to the IRS, get the EIN, but you don't open the correct structure for the company. And that's very costly. And we have seen it, we've seen it a lot with our clients. People that open, as a simple example, open a business, I'm gonna make it an S Corp today. And you're not even making revenue yet. So you need somebody to guide you through that process, somebody that has experience, somebody that can tell you this is step 1, step 2, step 3, and these are the reasons why you have to follow these steps. Because if you jump one of those steps, you're gonna make a mistake that is costly, and that's a guarantee.
Yeah, see, the mistakes are similar to interest, like when you invest in they compound, right?
Exactly.
So mistakes can compound as well, right? So it might start very small, that where you might not think, oh, I can just ignore it.
Right.
And they can only grow to where it's become huge, right? And that can it can even be something as simple as just starting your, let's say, your LLC, your business, your entity the wrong way, right? Without realizing, it can be very problematic because maybe you've already you've already done the paperwork in a certain way that is completely off, that may require for you to be able to continue, but you might have to either close out the business and start a new one, where maybe as part of that business you already have bank accounts, you already have SBA loans, all these things, and because of a simple mistake, you may have to go back and undo a bunch of things.
Right.
We see it almost daily.
We do.
Right? And so the purpose here is not to scare you. It's just that, doing a lot of these things are very easy.
Right.
Opening up an LLC, it can be, you can get on a computer and you might think that just doing it, yourself, it can be done very easily. You just follow a few questions and boom, you have your LLC.
Right.
The problem is, if this is what is gonna be your future, right? If you're building something, then our recommendation is to do it right from the beginning, because even making a mistake in how you open the LLC can have consequences down the line. For example, is it going to be member managed? Is it going to be manager managed? Even that decision can have consequences on how you strategize for not only how you grow the business operationally, but also taxes. Right.
And for that, you can just have a consultation. You don't have to hire us already, for example, as a retainer on a monthly basis. We can start just with consultations first, and we can guide you through the process and help you make those decisions until hopefully, you just start needing our services on a monthly basis. But at the beginning, definitely take the time and consider every time you're going to make a decision, such an important decision as part of your life, you definitely should think about maybe having a consultation. People do it with attorneys all the time. So I think it's a chip that you also have to put in people's mind. You have to do it with your accountant as well, with your CPA as well.
Right, and that's a really good point, and it applies exactly what you said about an attorney, right? If, just to give you that example, just to expand on that a little bit, if you are in a situation where you might require an attorney, if you don't already have one, to need one to need to go and get one when you actually need it is way more expensive than if you already have a relationship with one, right? That might already know your situation, you've already worked with them. Usually it's a pretty kind of a smooth situation, whereas needing and it's not just against attorneys, it's just supply and demand, right? If you need something quick and there's all these surpluses and additional costs and attorneys work by the hour, so it's to need their services sooner rather than later is usually more expensive. And it's exactly what we're saying. Carla hit the target. You don't have to maybe be in a position where, okay, if I can't afford a retainer with a CPA, then I'm just not going to contact one. You may contact one, maybe call them and see if you can start a relationship, right? At UpFront CPA, we do that. We work with startups to just kind of give them consultation throughout this early process. For us, it benefits us because we help, we educate, And potentially maybe that client down the line becomes serious, is actually able to grow the business, and it's a client that we're able to provide all these valuable strategies to, right?
Exactly.
So yeah, that brings us to, well, that was really it, right? So the point here is that we're trying to get across is not to scare the audience, is really to just kind of give you an idea of just kind of for you as an individual, as a business owner, where you are in the process. And we don't enjoy, it's really our hardest part of our job is when people come with a situation where they put themselves, they dug themselves in a hole that is really hard to get out.
Right.
And all these things can be avoided by simple planning, by meeting the right people, by making the right decisions. So really what we're trying to get to here is, we like to educate people so that all of these things can be avoided, right?
Right. So we just want you to think at what time is preparing taxes, for example, enough? And at what time do you cross the line to need that advice, that extra help as far as making decisions and inputting? At what time do you need to start implementing strategies to help you with your taxes, with your business decisions, or individual? It could be individual, a high earner, high W-2 employee. We have seen it where an employee suddenly is going to receive a big bonus, for example. And we do see that clients calling us for consultations because they know this year they're going to have that high income come suddenly, and what can be done. So that's the message that we're trying to put across. At what time do I need some a larger help than just a preparer? Right.
And that's exactly right. So am I the person that is just gonna kind of put it off to March and April, where it's gonna be a stressful situation and I'm, struggling to figure out what happened, maybe talking to now the tax preparer who may not know how to deal with this? Or do you take that proactive approach and you start making a relationship with someone that can really help you and provide you value? So, well, I really enjoyed our conversation today. I hope you enjoyed it too. If you like the content, please follow up, hit that like button, and follow us for more content. Thank you very much.
Thank you.